We went to Gateway Fate 2.0, and now we're here on this podcast to talk all about it in this issue of the Carbuncle Chronicle. Hello, adventurers, and welcome to the Carbuncle Chronicle, your podcast for everything awesome in Final Fantasy XIV. I'm Basil. I play a Lalafell summoner named 4K Rydiske on Leviathan.
I'm Anna. I play a Lalafell dancer named Cormier Rydiske, usually on Leviathan, but nowadays I'm living on Aether.
And I'm Tobias. I play Nadavai Silvestri, a Lalafell paladin, also generally on Leviathan.
That is our home server.
You know, it's nice to be on Leviathan now because the Weeb police are gone. So I don't feel like I have to go through the bad neighborhood to travel to Ultros or either. I actually enjoy my neighborhood again.
Last night I saw just a random assortment of people just doing Manderville dances and the songbird emotes just like out in the plaza. Just people were actually talking to each other again. It was nice. I really wish that the Weeb police would just be gone in general. I think they're on ferry right now. But admittedly, it is really, really nice when they are not gumming up the works on my server. But I want to mention that I've got a couple of Fall Guys champions in my midst.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, like Fall Guys. Fall Guys is back. We rounded up some pals and some buddies. We all fell together, just like in Shadowbringers. We fell into the end and in two different situations, or Q-ins or whatever, events or fall guyings. Anna won once, Tobias won once.
Yeah, it was like back to back too.
Yeah.
I got one and then right after immediately, like you got yours. That was nice.
Yep. I'm 11 out of 100 wins.
I think that was my third total, so quite a bit more to go.
Yeah, it's currently back as of recording and hopefully as of releasing. It's going on till November 27th. We should have this out, and you can still go and do Fall Guys in 14, and it's still some of the best ways to understand how the actual netcode works and how you actually interact with the game without having to do super ultra hardcore content.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as the previous iterations. I kind of wish they had given us a couple new rewards, a couple carrots to work on rather than just the 100 wins. But it is still, like a lot of content in 14, it's still really fun to do. I definitely see myself going back in just to see if I can grab a couple more wins before the end of the month.
Honestly, I'm fine with it for now because I don't need that. I did the grind. I got all the stuff. I have almost all the furniture. I really didn't get a whole lot of it. Just I have some of it in my apartment, actually. Some of that was pretty perfect for my little cafe. But I'm fine with not having that right now. I've got so much I'm working on. So it's nice to I can go do a few runs and get hopefully some wins and be fine until it comes back. They do need to add stuff in the future though, because it'll lose its appeal real quick. The Yokai Watch, they added weapons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They've brought it back once or twice maybe where they didn't have anything new, but they have brought new stuff back with it before. So I think we can maybe expect that they'll probably bring something, hopefully.
I know that I think it was right after they introduced the Fall Guys stuff with 14 that Mediatonic, because they're owned by Epic, they had to let a lot of people go because they were doing the whole terrible downsizing that everyone now, even including Square Enix, is doing lately because the world is a dumpster fire. So hopefully the people who are still there are the people who liked 14 and was involved in the whole collaboration thing happening. So maybe we can get more stuff. I guess we'll see. But if you too want to be a winner, don't forget everyone's a winner when they listen to the Chronicle, but also the Awesome Cast, your podcast for everything awesome, which this podcast is part of the Awesome Cast family podcasts. You can go to our Discord. We got our YouTube channels for both the Awesome Cast and the Chronicle. I also want to mention, because we're now in the midst of November, if you go to our TeePublic page, I do have pretty cool holiday ornament theme designs for both the Awesome Cast and the Chronicle. I'm very proud of them. So if you want a silly holiday t-shirt to wear in your day-to-day, you could do worse.
No, they're pretty cute. Like, we've got the ugly sweater type pattern.
Yeah.
So it's a cute one.
I was wearing it the other day, went to a holiday market. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear my holiday Carbuncle shirt. And speaking of holidays, one of my favorite holidays is that time right before there's a new patch, which means it's time for the Moogle treasure trove. This time, we're on the hunt for Revelation. It starts on the 18th, so it's probably going on as you're listening to this. And it's going to go on to the release of patch 7.4. We'll get into that in a moment. But yeah. We got Moogle tombstones, which means that Rival Wings is actually going to be a thing again.
That's the time when I start panicking because I haven't finished my PvP series yet.
Yep, it's true.
Oh, man. Yeah. One more thing I keep forgetting to do. This dead game that has nothing to do. I'm still discovering new things to do with it.
Yep. And we're getting a booze earring. So like the dumpling as an earring, which is cool. And just a whole bunch of other things that are going to be there. Various mounts and minions and parasols and orchestrations. Some can be very annoying to get otherwise. So it's a great way to grab items that you normally do not have the chance to acquire. But don't forget, again, it does end at the introduction of patch 7.0, which we already know when that is because we recently had live letter, I believe, 89. So we know that patch 7.0, not 7.0, haha, we're in that. 7.4, Into the Mist, we're going into it on December 16th. But Anna, friend of the show Alex, and all the other Savage Raiders do get a Christmas miracle, or rather a Starlight miracle, because they're delaying the Savage stuff until January 6th.
That was a little bit of a surprise. Like, a very welcome surprise, but very much a surprise. Like, I will say, we were up Christmas Eve last year doing Chaotic. I had a good time with that. I wouldn't be up as Savage drops, but the extra time's nice.
3 weeks? 3 weeks to get to the last Arcadian tier?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 3 weeks.
Which is good, because we're hopefully... My team has been very unlucky this tier. Some of our group has now cleared M8. Some of us, like me, have not yet, hopefully this weekend. And with all the DDoS stuff happening lately, that has just added to our pile of a series of unfortunate events. So the extra time is welcome so we can get our clears in.
Yeah. And I think, again, when 7.4 hits on December 16th, at least the normal Arcadian stuff will already be in there. It's just the Savage part that will be delayed.
Exactly.
But we're also getting more stuff, and some of the highlights I thought about briefly mention before we go on to our main topic. The big thing, I think, for everyone is the fact that they're unlocking the full power of glamours, because everything as far as armor and accessories go for glamour purposes are no longer job or role specific. Your weapons are still your weapons, but everything else, so you can be a white mage summoner, you can be a machinist summoner, you can be a weaver summoner, you could be a summoner.
So basically,
Summoner.
Basil gets to wear his summoner horn at all times.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited.
So in Don, this is why Don chose the best expansion, because you've got both glasses. You know, no matter what, you've always got glasses now, and you're getting a summoner or whatever. So like, this is Yoshi Pete does listen to the podcast. He knows you, Basil.
He knows this is my favorite expansion. And all the haters can suck my summoner's horn. Anyways, so Oh, and the strategy board is going to be real, like actually real. It's going to be
I believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've seen it.
in the game and everything.
That's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I know our friend Zell is so sad because now his MS Paint skills will go away, or at least just be transferred to that.
Yeah.
The thing I didn't know I wanted until they showed it off are the whole command panels thing.
Oh my God, my hotbars are going to be so happy.
Like just a little, was it 24 by 24 or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
25 block little squares that you can just plop in whatever you want into them that are separate from the hotbars. That's just great. That's just so nice. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to trying out the Merchant's Tale, our newest variant criterion. And there's also more changes to variant criterion that they got into during the live letter, but we'll cover that more when we have the next live letter. Because if we start talking about live letter stuff, we'll just be here all night.
Yeah.
And that's a different podcast.
We haven't got like the big trailer for 7.4 yet, so I'm saving my hype for the next live letter because they're going to show the full trailer. They're going to show more Merchant's Tale, which hell yeah, I'm so happy that Brandon is coming back. But yeah, we're going to Thavnair. It's going to be great.
I will say, with this patch, they have officially put every single piece of content this game has to offer in this expansion, except Blue Mage and Beastmaster. So, like, limited jobs are the only thing.
But that's coming.
Almost every single thing that you can think of in this game, something new has come out in this expansion.
And chaotic.
Yeah, true. And new things added to the game.
That's actually a good point, because wasn't Blue Mage added back in like the 0.4, 0.5 patch in Stormblood? Like it was added late in the expansion cycle?
They gave us...
It was the 0.5.
Yeah, they gave us the trailer for it at FanFest. And we were like, oh cool, this is coming in the expansion. And they said, oh no, you're getting this in like a couple of weeks. And we're like, what?
Oh, okay. I imagine that'll be same for Beastmaster then. Yeah.
That might be one of my favorite, like, besides keynote trailer, that might be one of my favorite trailers for anything in this game. And I loved the music of it. I loved just the feel of the whole trailer. Like it hyped up Blue Mage, which I still think Blue Mage is fun. Like, I know people shit on it, but it was such a good trailer. And then to have the president of Square Enix come out dressed as a Blue Mage, like, that was such a cool moment. That's one of those moments that you want to be at FanFest for.
And I just want to point out that we are a pro Blue Mage podcast. Just so everyone knows.
One day I'll get my Marlboro. One day.
We all do it. We all enjoyed it. We enjoy it. It's not past tense. It is present tense.
You might even say Blue Lives Matter. Oh, wait.
Oh man, we are just
not that podcast.
Look, we are not fans of the Weeb Police. We have said it out loud earlier in this episode, and I was going to make an ice joke then, and I'm not going to do it. That was
too soon, too real.
Yeah, too soon. But you know what is real and not too soon, because we still got to save money to pay for it? FanFest, because we're all going.
God knows how. Like, I did not expect us to be going this time, but somehow it's happening.
Hey, glasses and summoner horn on everything.
Again, Yoshi P likes Basil, because guess of the two of us, guess who got the lottery email? Not me.
I'm just saying.
We all know my luck with RNG in this game. It applies to FanFest as well.
It's because it was a lottery. It was because I had to choose the box.
Yeah, true. If you ever want to do a blind box and you want something specific, have Basil pick it out. He'll get it.
Don't put that on the podcast. I shouldn't have said it. I should not have said that out loud. Yeah. Oh my God. That's like, one day I am going to be screwed over by that. But today's not that day. Yeah. We all landed tickets for FanFest, so we're going. You'll get to hear all about it in this podcast at some point in the future. It is very exciting, but this time in this episode, we're talking about an entirely different Final Fantasy XIV themed, inspired fan convention, a true fan festival that was Gateway Fate. So we'll be right back to talk about it here on the Carbuncle Chronicle. And we're back. We're talking about Gateway Fate 2.0. It happened on October 18th and 19th in the year of our Yoshi P 2025 at the St. Charles Convention Center, right by St. Louis, Missouri. Our spoiler food for this episode is the Larboard / Starboard Chicken Tenders with fries. And they are ready to fry. That was just one of the many 14 themed foods that was available at the convention center's, quote, the last stand inspired food area that we'll get into in a little bit. So this is an unofficial Final Fantasy themed social meetup convention thing. It was at the St. Charles Convention Center in St. Charles, which is right outside of St. Louis, Missouri. It's attached to an Embassy Suites, so you had a nice looking hotel that was right by, and the convention center also was very nice looking. Very nice looking. Actually, I will say, just overall, spoilers, the real spoiler is, I had a really, really, really good time at this fan con, and it was incredibly well ran.
Oh yeah. Like, we have run a convention out of an Embassy Suite connected to a convention center. It really, I have nothing but positive things to say about it. It was very well done.
It was funny you mentioned the Hamicon connection, because I also kind of got that vibe in that hotel. It's how, I guess, vertically everything opened, it felt like. Is like, man, this made me think of the Hamicon hotel. Oh, well, that's probably why.
Yep.
It even had a very similar setup overall.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to even have even more of that feeling next year, considering I know what they're doing to change up the layout. So yeah, it takes place in the St. Charles Convention Center, and just straight up, they had the best feeling floor for a dealer's room at
I was so happy.
Any convention we've ever been at.
Yeah, like most of the times you go into a dealer's room, and the convention floor, or the floor of the dealer's room, is concrete. Like 9 times out of 10, you are going to get a concrete floor. And while that is fine, it hurts my back so badly. Like, it hurts so bad walking around that floor. You can't walk the whole time. Like, you have to take breaks and come back, which may be part of the scheme. But the floor in the dealer's room, or Artist Alley dealers, gaming, whatever, it was not carpet, but it was not concrete. It felt so nice. Like, I was able to walk and stand on it for as long as I wanted. And it was just such a surprise.
It's that wood laminate stuff that you get in a lot of houses nowadays and restaurants, because like concrete, it's very easy to blast and clean, which is why in most convention centers, the floors, especially for event hall spaces, are concrete, because it's easy to clean. And they've got to clean it before the next group comes through. I get why concrete is used, especially for these large event spaces. But to have this laminate instead, it was just so much nicer on your feet. So last year for Ann and I, we staffed at Otakon, and we were part of the guest relations staff. And so we were helping out with a voice actress doing all her autographs and things. And so I was stuck on concrete for most of the day, every day for a weekend. And I was shot by the time we were done. It was terrible on my feet and my back. But I could have probably been much better off if I was doing it here. I know that when people are coming to hear about convention reports, you aren't expecting to hear about the floors. But that is the Carbuncle Chronicle Awesome Cast guarantee. We'll talk about floors.
It's so funny you mention that, because I totally get it. I never think about it, but I totally understand what you mean. By the end of the day, your back hurts, your whole body just feels bad. And I didn't even think about the flooring until just now. And I'm looking through my photos, oh yeah, you're right. It's like the wood laminate. How did I not notice that? Which I guess is the good thing. You don't want to think about the floor. You don't want to think about that kind of thing. But oh man, you're totally right. I'm going to want every convention to have this stuff now.
Right? And
yeah, like I was saying, I know like at MomoCon and even MTAC, like we'll be walking around the dealer's room. I'm like, okay, I gotta find somewhere to sit and take a break because I can't go anymore.
Yeah, there's definitely some fatigue like in your knees and stuff. Like I never think about it, but that's totally what it is. And I totally didn't get that this time. It was never like a pain to. I walked on the dealer's hall a lot because there was like a lot of booths that were, usually at these anime cons, I kind of skip half of them because they're not stuff I care about. But, this being the one game that I play, every booth was amazing. And I spent a lot of time, we all spent a lot of time both days cruising the hall. And I didn't feel fatigue at all. Man, amazing.
yeah, just now we're going to go to FanFest. We're going to look at that floor and go, ugh.
Yeah. Do better, Yoshi P. Install better flooring.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
because, and that's always the trick, is that this has to be a decision at the convention center level, because while you can certainly spend money to put like fake carpet down instead, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to do it on a temporary basis. And it is not cost effective at all. So I was just so happy to see that at this convention center. It's just a great move. Good job, St. Charles Convention Center. You did real good. But yeah, like a lot of the quote where the action happened was in this vendor dealers hall space. It had all the vendors / artists. It had at the front, they had a little panel area where there were speakers and a stage and a screen where they had a lot of their content. All the Twitch streamed content actually was handled here. And that's also where the last stand was in the back, where that was a little food space. They also had some couple of photo ops with like cosplayers in the very back. Also an area where you could play Magic the Gathering or the Final Fantasy trading card game. And that's also where the guests would be able to sign autographs and whatnot. It all happened in this one big room, which for us, that was very similar to how Hamicon happened in Huntsville for 10 years, because we also had that big room at the Von Braun Center. But that's where most of it happened. And then there were also some rooms outside of that was in the convention center. They had this really cool spot that was sort of an animal rescue where you could pet bunnies and other pets. It was to try to get people to rescue them, to take them home for locals. They had a panel room, which we were in a bunch because we put on 2 panels in that room. They also had, I thought this was a really, really neat idea that I've never seen in another con, but it is also so specific to the Final Fantasy XIV community, which was the art party room, where it was just a breakout room with some tables and chairs, and they had lots of random art supplies like pens and colored pencils and sheets of paper that you could draw on, and a bunch of various art books and a couple of the Eorzea encyclopedias you could draw inspiration from. So if you wanted like a quiet room to just chill out, talk to other artists, and just draw, it was there the whole time the convention was open. That was just a really, really neat idea that, again, is inspired by the 14 community, because the idea of an art party is a thing that happens in 14, where a lot of artists will go to someone's house and they'll probably chat in Discord or just in chat, while at home they're actually drawing and things. And to see that being represented at the 14 fan convention was just a really nice and neat idea.
Yeah, and I really could see this taking off at other events as well. That's not generally my space, so I don't really think about it, but I agree that it really felt like a natural fit. And while they had that one dedicated room, they had on Saturday night, there was a larger boardroom that was usually reserved for the tabletop role-playing game. A much larger singular room that a huge board table in the middle was sort of like the big art party event. And it was full of people, like sitting on the full room only. So this is very much a popular sort of thing that I could see being expanded to other, anime nerd events, as well as, the next year for Gateway.
And that art party was actually hosted by friends of the show, Rogue Corvid and Zelly.
Yeah.
I believe it's, Zelly. They are, I don't know where they're actually from, but we've seen them at several cons in the Southeast. Rogue Corvid makes straight up my favorite jobstones out of anyone. I own like 4 or 5 of them, and I buy one every time I see them vend at a convention. And so this is just me saying, go buy Rogue Corvid jobstones, and also buy art from Zelly. They're great. They're amazing. It was so nice seeing them at this con, and I can't wait to buy more stuff from them later. But there was also a whole upstairs that I feel, if anything, my only like real detractor was that I felt like the upstairs wasn't as utilized as well as it could have been, because there was like a big main event space as well as a separate space they used for karaoke. And it just wasn't super used. But I also think that if they had gotten a lot more people, you wouldn't have felt that. It would have felt just busier in general, because so much of it that took place was really downstairs. But there were a couple of big things that had happened upstairs as well. And so it was nice. Oh, there also were some more food vendors up top, besides just the one in the bigger room. But it was still the venue is very, 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 very nice.
Like, I think the distribution of, the upstairs, downstairs, I think if it had been me, I don't have any experience, so I'm not a professional or anything, but if I ran the zoo, what I would have done is probably put the exhibit hall Twitch streaming stuff in the major main events room that they had. It was the big one. Although the issue with that is you take away from beating people in the dealer's hall. So it really felt like the exhibition space, where those they meant to have it there on purpose to get people in the same room. But I agree with you, because it was so separate and because all the main events were already in the big hall, like, what do you really do with that space? We went to a really cool music panel on Saturday. We did the drag show, which, of course, the drag show required that big space. But it really felt like they were sort of fighting against having these two competing large stages that I think maybe made it difficult for them to utilize that.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it at the end. They're also having to do some layout changes for year 3.0, which will maybe solve some of those problems for themselves. But I still liked the venue a lot. And the other thing I was really impressed with was how much the venue was willing to play ball with the folks that ran Gateway Fate. I have never seen this level of buy-in from a convention center for a con ever. Sometimes at Anime Con, you might see like hotel staff like put on colored wigs and try to play ball with like the attendees like a little bit. But at the Last Stand food area, which was just like the convention center's like food spot where they would cook food, they were in Last Stand aprons. They had bespoke Gateway, provided boxes with art of like Alice and Alphino on them that you got your food in. I've never seen just so much coordination between a convention center and a fan convention like that. You normally don't see that level of commitment on the convention center side of things.
And I'm just kind of surprised at how I really enjoyed eating there. Something that I didn't think I would be saying. Yeah, like they were just
food was so good,
and like fries and typical stuff. The menu board all had specific names, 14 based, but like there were certain like bespoke items that felt like they were meant. There was like some tacos that were Terali themed, Sure, you had a burger and chicken tendies. And maybe it's just because inflation sucks and, the tariff, situation's so bad. But I didn't really feel it was expensive compared to everything else in the world, like.
Yeah. Even compared to I told Basil, I said, the chicken tenders, especially, we live in Huntsville. We've all been to the VBC. That's where Hamicon was. They were so much better than the chicken tenders at the VBC. And I feel like they were cheaper, especially for what we got.
So I'm going to list out what they got. They had the loaded Archon burger with fries. It was only $11. And the Archon burger was like a legit smash burger.
Yeah, that was good.
It was delicious.
It was freshly made. It didn't feel frozen. And they actually had it on like a flat top, like, cooking it like you would be like an actual diner. It was good. You had the Larboard Starboard, like chicken tenders and fries. It was also only $10. I swear, any other convention center, it'd be like 15 or 16, maybe 17. Mm-hmm. They had forest meat kebabs, which were vegan meatballs and veggies with charred corn servant relish, which was 11. So they even had a freaking veggie option that was an actual like vegetarian would not hate option, which was crazy. The Tirali slow roasted meat tacos with chips and salsa didn't have a price here, I'm sure it was reasonable there. They had their porksy steak, which was pork steak with mac and cheese, was 12. They also had their treacherous toasted tiles, which was toasted ravioli, which I understand was a St. Louis like thing. Mm-hmm. And those were pretty good. They had like a sort of this like meat stuff in them. It was very good. I got those and they were like 10 or 11 bucks. Like again, it was all very, very reasonably priced. I was very like, it was good stuff. Like I normally don't talk about, oh man, when you're there at the convention center, eat the convention center food. You don't say that.
You try to avoid it whenever you can.
But also there was, in that same vein with the venue and everything, there was so many food options around the convention center and hotel area that were accessible. Like we had our car, we drove to places, but you were like, people could walk and get decent food. Like across the street, there was the Buffalo Wild Wings. There was a Texas Roadhouse. There was the what was the pizza place? The sandwich grinder place.
It's like supposed to be Bellagio's or something, maybe.
Bellagio's.
Yeah. And we drove like maybe 5 minutes down the road and went to the like best loaded nacho place. Like, and there was like a strip of food there. Like, it was all very accessible. Like, we don't even have that here. I know they're trying to do that downtown, but like it was the first convention I've been to that had just really accessible food.
Yeah, Bellagio's. And we had stayed at the hotel like across the way, kitty corner of the interstate, the Best Western. So we were in an area where mentioned a lot of that stuff. There was an Aldi, a grocery store, like right across from our hotel, which is like, holy shit. Like, I don't feel like I'm in a food desert like I do usually here. And, we ended up walking because it was a little awkward, getting there because you had to like climb a staircase and like cross the interstate and like they weren't great crosswalks. So it was a little weird. So we did end up driving a lot. But like you could easily have walked had, that been the situation you were in. Yeah, like I never really felt like food was a thing I would have to plan in advance for, which is so rare, it feels like, at these events.
The only other convention that even approaches this is MomoCon, and that's just because it's smack dab in the middle of downtown Atlanta. So there are downtown Atlanta restaurants that are remotely nearby that you could walk to.
We don't even do that. We do the stalls they have, and even those are okay food for what they are and for the price. But no, Gateway definitely gets the high marks for me on that. Yeah.
But the whole dealers hall was also great and it was very dangerous because all the vendors are all like some of the best, coolest artist alley people you see that do 14 stuff at conventions across our great nation. And they're all here in one spot. Every table we went to is either someone we've already bought things before at various cons, or we've seen them promote at other conventions that we couldn't get to.
Or I've bought from them on Etsy.
Yeah. They just need more Carbuncle themed stuff that isn't just pins and stickers.
To a keychain?
And keychains. But that one artist that does the really cool bags. If they ever, who also do like themed PJs, and they did do a Carbuncle themed PJ. Sadly, I am a big guy and I would not be able to fit in anything that they make, which is no slight on them. I'm just a big guy, and most people don't make things that I can wear. But if they had a cool like Carbuncle themed bag, I'd be screwed. I also want to give shout outs to the staff of the convention. They kept everything running, even when, spoilers, when the power goes out at the middle of the convention because there was a storm. Things kept happening, kept running. They kept everyone calm and collected, and they just kept on trucking. Also, we did a couple of panels, and it was a really sweet little setup. It was easy to just plug in. Everything worked. They had staff to make sure that it was working in case you had issues. I normally don't get that level of service except when I ran a con and Hamacon, because that was something that I felt was important to make sure was there for panelists, because I am a panelist.
Yeah, a lot of these panel rooms generally, it's kind of a crapshoot to what you're going to get. Yeah, I've definitely gotten like really helpful staff at stuff like Animazement. Always been really great, especially like the smaller side rooms like this. You know, sometimes you feel forgotten about. Sometimes the audio doesn't exactly work like it should, or you have to kind of figure it out yourself. But like this room had the audio setup built into the room. It was already up and working. All we had to do was just plug, you know, the HDMI for the projector and the stereo jack for the audio. There's a little audio knob like there on the table. Like Basil said, like it just worked like a dream, which was great because they didn't have like any gaps between the schedules. They were your typical panel after panel after panel. So there wasn't a whole lot of room to do setup, a lot of time to do setup in between. So the fact that it worked out really smoothly was always a worry that I have, but didn't really become an issue from what I saw. We ended up going to a lot of panels, which, kind of the general theme here is that when you go to anime cons, there's a lot of stuff you care about, a lot of stuff you really don't care about. So like there are a lot of gaps in your personal schedules usually. But because this is the one game that we all play, and because the panel schedule was really good, really interesting stuff, I really felt like I wanted to watch other people's panels just as much as give my own, which doesn't always feel quite like that at some of these smaller events.
Yeah, no, it was, oh man, I went to so many panels and I could have gone to more. It was more of a pacing myself versus what they had on offer. But yeah, I've also there have been times where I've gone to cons where I go, all right, I'm here. Where's my projector? Where's the TV?
Why is it not turned on?
Well, yeah, before I've been to an MTAC where I had to go, hey, where's the thing I'm putting my panel on? And they went, oh, shoot. All right, the TV's over here. Or, oh, hey, the projector's over there. Or, oh, no, well, it's all set up because we need this one cable. And we're waiting on the cable. But everything was set up. Something I really, really enjoyed having was at the top right-hand corner, they had a power strip to plug your laptop in. Mm-hmm. That is something that is weirdly always hard to find at conventions, is your power strip for your laptop. It's something that I don't know why. I guess they're trying to make sure that give maximum optics that you don't see it. So it's usually underneath the table.
Yeah.
Behind the tablecloth. And man, no one cares. No, seriously, no one cares. They just want to be able to plug into their thing, and just having it out there obvious where you just go boop and you're done. That was really nice. I wish more conventions would learn that simple lesson. But yeah, no, there was a lot of cool things to go do and see. We actually we helped sort of kickstart the con, because I think we were, and in the con, we started it and ended it. It really felt like, because we were one of the first panels of the convention. The only thing that happened before was they had the guitarist, John Oath. He does a lot of really cool guitar covers of various Final Fantasy and other songs. He was there. It was a little wild because they had Jason Charles Miller and Amanda Achen, who are two of the musicians for 14. But I guess because this is a fan con, and it's a fan con that Square Enix knows for sure exists, and had actual official 14 musicians, I can see why they did not feel comfortable playing at the 14 fan con, because again, they're official and they would not be able to play the 14 music there. But John Oath, he's not official. He can play whatever he wants.
Yeah, he's just a YouTube guy. And I thought that was really cool to go in both mornings. You walk in, you start doing some shopping, and you're being serenaded by this acoustic guitar performance. It was just, man, it was so nice to have that in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, but speaking of music, the first panel we did was yours, which was the music of Final Fantasy XIV Retro Edition.
Yeah, so, we did I did the overall, the general purpose music of FF14 panel at MomoCon 2 years back, and you can and should go watch the YouTube recording of that. I think it was really cool to have that one panel performance I put on with video proof, video evidence, and you can go check it out.
You just got out of copyright jail.
Just got out of copyright jail because of what the prog rock, probably because of the Emerson, Lake and Palmer music I had in that panel. I wanted to do that again, but because there was so much music, in that panel and so much more music, I knew that making an hour panel was going to be hard to continue to do that. And because there's so much music, there could easily be different types of panels, and there will be different types of panels and iterations of this one going forward. So I offered them, I can either do a retro one, which we put on here, or just one on Dawn Trail. And I kind of figured I'm going to wait until after 7.5 comes out next year to do the Dawn Trail retrospective music panel. So this one was the retro edition, where what we did is looked at the songs that were present from past Final Fantasy games, the more the classic Uematsu works, and how they were used in 14. So we went through pretty much every game, every mainline entered game, and just mentioned a couple of songs that were present and how either they were transformed or how they were used in FF14. And even then, we used every single minute of our hour through doing it, and I still had to cut stuff just to make sure we talked about the main stuff overall.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was really fun. I was surprised that we got as many people as we did because, again, this was the very first panel of the convention in the panel room, so it wasn't on like the main stage or the big stage that was in the dealer event hall or the exhibit hall stage. I should give it its proper name, the exhibit hall stage.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't expect, because of the first thing, everyone's filtering in and getting their badges, getting their program guide, looking at the program guide, walking around the big flashy dealer's hall. It's really tough to sell people and rushing to a panel first thing in the morning. And the fact that we had, I don't know, maybe 20 people in that room, that felt really good. And anybody listening to this podcast that came out, thank you so very much for making that first panel a really great experience.
It was super fun to do. And that was actually right after that was when I got confused looking at the schedule and misunderstanding where because I wanted to go check out World Racing with Frosty and Rookery, because Anna especially has been friends with Rook for a minute now. And she even helped out with Frosty's big PvP thing he did recently with a bunch of content creators on the new PvP Crystalline Conflict stage. They did their Bayside Brawl.
It's the only time I've been in that station.
But I misunderstood. I thought they were in the main room. So we went to what I thought was the main room, not the exhibit hall stage, which was sort of the other main room. And so we also were there for a little bit for Name That Orchestration Roll with Vickybunnyangel. And it was just a neat little orchestration. Listen to this trivia panel that they had found this one website where you could sign up the QR code and be able to tap like multiple choice options and have like quick little leaderboards and things. And I went, oh man, maybe I should have had that for when we did a trivia panel, which I was just like, all right, I'm going to trust all y'all to not cheat. And it worked out. Everyone had a good time. But I was like, oh, of course, someone has made websites where you can make your own trivia things. That makes sense.
It really depended on having cell phone signal, which because this wasn't a huge anime convention, that really wasn't a problem. I could see that being a problem in some places, like even this event space. One thing very inconsequential, but I didn't mention, was that in the panel room downstairs, that was a dead zone for Wi-Fi. You could not get signal out of that room. It felt like hardly. So had that panel, this Northern Orchestrion roll panel, been down there, it would not have worked, period. She was very lucky to get the space upstairs where it worked. And it was fun. The little app was kind of fun to see, like a leaderboard, and you could submit your answers that way. And they were not pushover questions. Some of them were like, okay, what zone is this in? What trial is this from? But some of it was like, what's the specific name of this song? No, it's not Lahi. It has a name. It's not like it's civilizations. And that was the easy one. Like there were other ones that were, might have been easier had we been following some of the recent stuff. But like one of the questions was, what's the name of the song that plays during Ildnarch? Ildnarch's theme from Sandoria. The name of the song is just Ildnarch. And the quiz they had 3 other answers that kind of felt similar, like, but you may have been right. There were a lot of times we were like, oh, is it a trick question? Is it not? So you really kind of had to know the little, small inconsequential stuff for these song titles as well.
There were quite a few questions, though, that if people had gone to Tobias's panel, they got them right. And I think we did speak with a couple of people who said that panel did help them in that trivia contest.
Nice. I think our sort of collective score that I did on my phone, I think we were at number 6 in the room, which is
Something
not
like
great.
That, yeah.
But, like I said, there were a lot of ones that kind of threw us. But I'm very pleasantly happy with the ones we did get right, though.
But after that, we took a quick look around, the exhibit hall space and all the exhibitors, and we were buying stuff. And then I think that was our first time we actually split apart, where Anna and we went to go catch the tail end of the Being a Wandering Minstrel 101 with Amanda Achen, J. Charles Miller, but you went to go to the 1.0 Nightmare panel.
Yes. So it was a panel basically talking about 1.0, and it was already kind of interesting to begin with, but the panel description really made it seem like they were going to be giving a live demonstration, which, I'd seen recently on YouTube, some sort of people hacking together like in, a virtual machine or something. So I just wanted to see it in person because, not being involved in the game at that point, it's always been magical to me. And I know the game sucks. Like, I know that the maps are terrible and it would be a pain in the ass to actually play. But it's still like the potential of it has always really intrigued me. So I go in and it's like the presenter's setting up, and like they have a virtual machine set up for this, like an emulator. I'd not really want to speak on the specifics because like they were giving a lot of description about it that I don't feel comfortable like repeating and getting wrong. But like they were able to log into a test server at first. And like the first time we went through it, we made a character, sort of had everyone make a Mikote. I think we did one of the Disciple of the Hand classes, I want to say, because you could do that. You didn't have to have a fighting class. You could have a crafting class to start off with. It did crash pretty early, at which points, in mid-panel, like she shuts it down. She resets it back up, actually like setting up the server on their computer at the time it was happening. And like they're going over what they're doing, how they're setting up the databases and the map servers and like everything as they're doing it. And then logging into this virtual server they've set up on stage for us. And it was just the fact that it was a live presentation of everything happening really made it work. And like they really knew their stuff. By the end, they were taking suggestions of like where to go. So like we went to Ishgard, Kurthus Central Highlands, was at Camp Dragonhead. Like it wasn't a fort yet. It literally was a camp at that point. And as we know, everything is green. There's no snow anywhere. And to see that, and we even walked to like the bridge where you can see Ishgard off in the distance, even though you couldn't go there. It was kind of cool. They showed us, because this server was set up at the last major patch before it shut down, we could see Dalamud, hanging overhead. We could see Garlean airships floating around, just like air traffic randomly, a thing that you can see a lot in 11 because the airships still have a regular transit schedule. It's something they don't really have at all in 14, which is really kind of interesting, because they really made things feel more, organic, feel more immersive to have that airships and stuff traveling in the sky. It was just really fun to see. And, part of me really wants to go find the Discord, set up at, 1.0 server and just piddle around with it, even though I know I'm not going to have fun doing it probably. But just to see that live demonstration was really, really fun. I'm glad I went to that panel.
Yeah, that's like the level of sickoness that you could only really get at a convention like this. Like you couldn't pull that off at a MomoCon or even a Dragon Con or what have you. Like this is something that is so laser specific to Final Fantasy XIV players, because you had to be interested in like what is actually 1.0, but for reals though. It's if I realized that it was a live demonstration, I might have changed my mind of where I went. But that's super cool. But honestly, because we were already in the exhibit hall, we're like, let's go listen to Amanda Achen and Jason Charles Miller talk about doing their thing. And as always, they're incredibly wonderful, charming people, and they had great stories. And for me, it's always good to know that I always forget that Jason Charles Miller started off as a choir boy, doing choir stuff. And now he's the coolest rock star I know. Like it was a fun time listening to them talk, because I was thinking, oh, they're going to maybe do some music. But again, they did not do music because they're actually doing stuff in 14. So they don't want to, trip over NDAs or contracts or what have you. But just listening to talk about them doing their music was just really neat to see. And then also then dovetailed, we also caught a little bit of the voice acting journeys panel, which was Erica Mendez, Javier, Prusky, and Luis Bermudez. And again, great stuff. Wonderful people. Had some really great stories to tell. It was really cool. And we sort of stuck around that area again. This is sort of like a 1, 2, 3 punch for us, because that was also the Pon Tehran Mahjong 101, which it was Fruity Snacks, Epic, Oriange, but also they needed a fourth, and that ended up being our buddy Denmo, who we didn't realize he was going to come to the last moment. I don't think he realized he was going to the last moment, but we palled around a bunch at the convention, and so I wanted to go support my folks playing Mahjong, even though I still don't actually understand how Mahjong's really played even now. This was the con that made me go, all right, y'all win. I'm going to now, my promise to myself is I'm going to learn how to play Mahjong for Gateway 3.0, maybe sooner, because I might need to know at FanFest. I'm not sure yet. Anyways, what they were doing to do this, much like the 1.0 panel, is that they figured out a way to play Mahjong there at the table and actually live stream with a little moving camera everyone's hands and things. And it was a really neat idea right up until the power went out. And they kept playing Mahjong. They kept going. Oh, but that was a real interesting experience. But while that was going on, I know, Tobias, you went to another super ultra mega awesome sickos panel.
Yeah, and to sort of touch upon the Mahjong thing, I think I saw a picture. It might have been Epic Orange posted a picture of like somebody have a cell phone light hovering over the table in the dark with them trying to play Mahjong with
we all had our flashlights out. They were trying.
That was so wild, because like the power went out everywhere, even the room I was in. And I was back in the main panel room for Eorzea's fiscal history and impending coinage disaster. This seemed like a really kind of funny, goofy thing on the schedule. And I didn't really prioritize it at first. I just kind of happened to wander in the room because it seemed a little interesting. Had this been an anime con, I would have probably expected the worst, like maybe a really silly thing. But oh my God, this panel was easily the highlight of my whole weekend. Like, I don't want to hype it up too much and detract from anything else, but I cannot stress how great this panel was for what it was. The panel room was packed. The guy speaking, not on social media, I really tried to tag this guy in, and I'm hoping to get him on the podcast if he responds to us. This guy knew his shit. It was literally like this guy did the math of the currency and the economy in the game. He talked about like stuff like Gil and the various scripts in the game, and like what type of currency are they? Are they like fiat currency? Like, he really knew what he's talking about this particular stuff. And then he deep dived into stuff like the challenges in the game. So like Eorzea is a group of city states that all are independent, but we all share a single currency. the currency, the guild that we know, has only been around for about 70 years. I didn't know this. Like, they've had gold pieces and stuff in the game, since the Allegan days. But like, he even said the guild that we collect, that'd be the equivalent as if the dollar bill were only created in 1940. Like, super recent. And it talked really deep dive into stuff you'd expect from the encyclopedias about like the challenges it faces when you have 3 independent nations. What happens when you have the Warrior of Light that has a ton of money that you've dug up everywhere? What happens when you just decide to go to Kugane when the expansion hits? What happens when you take it across, the Atlantic Ocean to North America? You take your small nation's worth of money with you. Like, that creates actual economic issues in real life. And just like the way the guy continued to present this information, it was very entertaining, but also really informative. And when the power went out where I was at, the whole room went dark. And you guys remember, like, it was dark downstairs. Like, the whole room was pitch black, completely pitch black. So we all sort of pulled out our phone camera lights as well. But like, dude didn't stop when the light sort of eventually started filtering back on. And while we waited for the projector to sort of come back on, dude just picked up his laptop and kept going. Did not let this thing distract him at all. And the whole thing was high energy. We had oh man, I can't remember that guy's name. I think it's Kevin, right? The guy that plays the he cosplays as the the big Vieira guy. You'll know this guy if you've seen him at an event. I think his character is Glizzy Goblin, and he he cosplays as Glizzy Goblin. But like, he was there, like in the back with me, and like, dude was high energy, just riffing on the guy's stuff. Like, the whole room felt great, and I was just amazed by how well put together this panel was. Like, I never see that anime convention. Usually, that kind of informative panel is stuff that I give, or Basil gives, or one of our old old head anime nerds give. Like, it's usually an established name that I already know what I'm getting into. Just to be so completely surprised by a new factor here about this particular subject that we all care about. Oh man, I cannot. I wish I could have recorded that. I took a lot of pictures of the guy's slides and stuff in the process as I did the 1.0 panel for posterity. But like, I'm really hoping we can speak to this guy again next year, because I really would like to see this again and see what he has to say about other similar subjects in the game.
Yeah, that every time we talk about it, I'm like, man, I really wish I was
2 places at once.
I was there, but I was really enjoying the Mahjong panel, and I don't think we talked enough about the World Racer, Frosty, and Rookery. That was also a really good panel, and Frosty is
that was the panel we know that Yoshi P listens to the stream maybe.
Well, the other things I like about Frosty is how he's like, man, I'm just a guy. And I'm like, no, man, you're also the best damn cat herder the 14 community has, and you keep doing it. And he keeps just overall such a level head about it, and which I'll talk about in a little bit. But and Rookery's she's always wonderful and charming, and they play off each other very well. And they were just talking about doing all the World Race stuff. But later on that night, we also that was when I think we went to the Tobias and I we stopped by the art party, which was called at Arts Horizon, an Omnicrafter art party, and it was that room was just filled with artists. The floor was filled with artists. Like, I felt bad for being there, because I would have started to try to draw at least a little bit, but there was nowhere to actually sit because all the actual chairs were taken. And again, I'm a bigger guy. I can't really get on the floor because then I can't get back up. So
I would have passed out, probably fallen asleep had I sat on the floor after taking a little nap. It would have been a good thing I couldn't do that.
But later on that night, we got to do they called it the Dragcidia. I love that name. Like, not Dissidia, but Dragcidia. And that was a very good drag show.
Yeah, I don't know if I've actually for real been to one before. I've hopped into stuff like what do you call it?
Burlesque?
Yes, burlesque. I've hopped into burlesque shows and stuff before, and it's not quite the same thing, but I think this might have been the actual factual first drag show I've been to. Well,
yeah, same. Like that for me is the same thing. I've been to a couple of nerd burlesque shows over the years, but I think this is my first actual drag show, and they were very good.
Yeah,
very
the
good.
energy was like, I think the also the nerd burlesque shows I've been to haven't really inspired me to do a lot more of those. They were not bad, but like they weren't really my thing. But the thing I noticed from this one was the energy was extremely high. Like the performers were really into the little performances they were giving, the sort of the funny bits. The whole audience was like really, really into it. It was probably the best one of these sort of events I've been to, and really enjoyed going. Didn't expect, because again, this really isn't my scene, but I definitely would go back next year if they have them back.
Well, I know people were talking, like the way people were talking beforehand, all the people that had gone the year before was just talking it up. And I was like, okay, well, I was already interested in it, but like hearing how excited all these other people that have been to it before are, then I was like, yeah, I definitely want to go. And no, it was definitely a highlight for a lot of people.
It was super high energy, super fun. All the performers knew how to work a room. The thought that kept striking me was, oh, this is the energy, this is the performance, this is the level of craftsmanship, this is the level of what every freaking ask a character, I want to cosplay up as these characters and act around and people pay attention to me on stage. But what if it was like really, really, really good? What if it was people at the top of their game and knew what they were doing? And oh, so if you are like the very best at what you do, this is what it would be like. Okay, y'all have earned it.
Yeah, so we did leave out right before the drag show. They were doing karaoke, and we knew some people were going.
Oh, yes.
And it was right next door. And we went in towards the very end of it, and we got to hear Luis and Javier. They did a duet in Spanish of a song from Encanto, I think.
Yeah, right.
I believe so, yeah.
And so I have all of that on video. Like they both can sing very well. It was very fun. Like both of them, I was like, y'all are just adorable, and I'm very glad they are part of the 14 family now.
Oh, and they had some really great stories during their voice actor panel as well. And it was, they were good guys.
Especially with how much it meant to them getting to portray like their, like with their culture and everything, and getting to do that in this video game and to have it so well received from us and everything. They were both so sweet. And Erica too. Like we love Erica. Erica's been a friend of ours for years. So like it was great. Could not be nicer, guys.
Like it was a really, really fun Saturday. Really enjoyed it. And Sunday was good too. And again, we also went to a bunch of panels. I started off going to the PvP showcase because Brian Ricardo and someone else was there too. But I just know who Brian was because I met him the day before, and he's a really, really, really nice guy. Gidson. The name of the other person besides Brian was Gidson. Okay, bye. And what I didn't realize was not dissimilar to the 1.0 panel. They were logged into the game and they were queuing up into PvP matches while Brian was live commenting and shoutcasting while the other guy was actively PvPing. And it was really fun. They were just chit-chatting. The audience was chatting. It was a really good back and forth. And I just felt really bad because then they were talking about Frontline and like people who just chase ice. And I'm like, oh, shoot, that's me. I'm an ice chaser. Not the way you think. Like, it's the crystals that you blow up. I don't do much of the actual PvPing when I'm one of the bad frontliners. But it was really good conversation. I did learn some things. And then afterwards was the crafting an RP character with Nobutaka Faircloth, friend of the show. He does the other Carbuncle themed podcast, Coffee and Carbuncles. Oh, that's right. That's what I did the day before. I gave him coffee. I brewed up my cold brew, and we drove up from Huntsville to St. Louis. I brought my coffee with me in a sort of with some ice packs and a thermal container, and handed him some coffee so he could drink for it. Because I'm like, he needs his coffee for his Coffee and Carbuncles. It just made sense, and so he came to our panel. So I wanted to make sure I was there for his panel. And he did a really, really nice, he was like, let's start with question 1. Let's make an RP character step by step. Here are all the steps I go through in making an RP character. So can you. And it was a really well done RP panel. Like,
Agreed. I don't even like to role play, and I found it really interesting.
yeah, he did a really, really good job. And right after that was off to the Chocobo Races with Frosty, also Kevin, because I didn't know it, but he not only is he an amazingly buff, handsome looking individual who can just cosplay whatever the hell he wants, he's also apparently the best Chocobo racer in North America. Like, he is just he's the one person who really, really, really cares about their birds. And I think just very recently now has a stat perfect Chocobo for what they do.
Oh, wow.
And Frosty, one of the very first things he ever hosted was Chocobo racing. That was one of the first things before like doing world races or any of that. They started with Chocobo races. And so, and I really, really, really like Chocobo races. I used to do it all the time. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to do a lot of Chocobo racing. And so hearing Frosty and Kevin talk, and Kevin giving all his tips and tricks and what he does was very similar to things that I had also came up with myself. So I was like, well, one, this feels very validating. Two, oh, I never took it far enough. I need to be more like Kevin. Damn. And it reminds me how much I like Chocobo racing. I really, really like it. And I'm always lamenting how little they actually do with it, which is nothing, mostly because the guy they had working on it is now on the Savage team. And now he's designing awesome fights for Anna to throw her face into.
Yeah.
And Frosty was lamenting how he thought there were other interviews, but his is the only one he could find. And we're talking to him afterwards, like, yeah, a lot, especially the earlier 2.1.0 and 2.0 stuff for like the first, up until like Shadowbringers or so. A lot of the content that covered and interviews and things are gone because websites have gone away, or they've changed owners, or they've changed backends and they didn't update the older articles so that you can find them easily. There is a lot of things that I have read that I know I've read for sure that you just can't find anymore. There used to be an interview that where Soken said specifically what either Sentai or Metal Hero, Kamen Rider, whatever show it was, that was the direct inspiration for Brute Justice. Like, there is a particular live action tokusatsu show that was the inspiration for the Brute Justice theme. And he said it, and I can't find the interview anywhere. There was a set of interviews with Soken and Uematsu where Soken would talk about how Soken was a big layabout and would just wait for people to leave so he could then figure out who he could go get drinks with. And Uematsu was the only one who would go drink with him. And in interviews like this that you just can't find anymore, or the other Soken does, he likes to talk and he will talk to people about things, where his first song that he really got to do something different with that wasn't pre-figured out or scripted or given him things where they just went, nah, just do whatever you want with it, was the Titan theme, which in my brain really shows us this is the beginning of Primal's themes being really interesting themes and really set the stage for him doing crazy fight themes that happen now to this day. I mean, hell, look at the latest Arcadian Tears. And now we get freaking mumble rap songs and funk and all sorts of things.
Chocobo racing to hear?
Interviews.
Yeah, there was, he had a prominent slide where he was talking about it, how Frosty, I think he said Frosty himself had interviewed somebody and was like, how difficult it was to find these interviews from, 10 years ago almost, because of that. But to sort of key up what Basil was saying, like, I kind of ignored this panel at first because I saw racing and Frosty and thought it was another world race panel, which is, that's great. That's just not my thing. So like I had walked around, I caught a bit of the RP panel with Basil and agreed completely. I think Nobutaka had said that this was their first in real life panel. So very, very good for first panel for sure. Hoping to see them come back next year and talk more. I did catch a little bit of the Dressed Like a Doman panel with Rookery, where she was pretty much talking about kimono and how to properly wear a kimono and different types of kimono fashion, which was very different from what I would expected of 14 specific convention. But it was nice to have that sort of diversity at this event. And so I did kind of wander back and did join Basil halfway through this panel, the Chocobo Races. And yeah, like I think it's really cool. This is also content I've completely forgotten about. You know, I definitely have put in the time of the tracks, but I never really bothered to do any Chocobo breeding or stat anything. You know, this is like 5 years ago at this point. But the fact that they were able to have this panel about this almost forgotten content kind of inspired me to go back. And that's something I want to really try and explore a little more, maybe hopefully by the time the next Make It Rain campaign happens. So very, very happy to see this panel brought up, and I'm really hoping to see more of these type of panels next year, the stuff that people have mostly forgotten about.
And then our last panel was our last panel, which was one of the last panels before the con ended, which was our most useful 14 websites that won't break the terms of service, which, again, I've said several times now in my life, I was not expecting the whole Mari thing. I didn't even know what Mari was when I submitted this panel, let alone it exploding and having all this add-on controversy and Yoshi P having to be disappointed dad online again. When I was making this panel, I just thought it'd be nice to have. And because we've done a 14 panel for many years at other cons like MTAC and MomoCon and HamaCon and other places. And one of the things that I've been really enjoying doing is finding these fan-made websites that give you tips and tricks and things that you could look at that are really useful. And if you don't know to look for them, you're not going to find them. And they've only becoming more and more prevalent as time has gone on, and has even, in many ways, influenced things that we now get in 14. For example, we're now getting that strategy board because Raid Plan exists, and people have been doing Raid Plan stuff, which is a website where you can sort of make out your own diagrams for how fights work. That's very much what the strategy board is going to be, but on a website, not in the game. And so it's a lot of those and various things that are useful. Fishing or crafting. I didn't realize until I was building this, someone made an entire website that's just designed that if you're on the free trial, here's everything you do on the free trial and how you do it. That's such a useful thing that I didn't even realize even existed until I was working on this panel. And so there's a lot of useful websites, and you can find it at carbunclechronicle.com and just go down and we list all of them.
You made a big point to have a specific article with all the links, which was really nice.
Yeah. Shouts out to Dylan. He was like, make sure you do like a link tree or something. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm going to put it on our own website. I can do a page of links. I don't need, I'm old, man. This is about bespoke websites. I'm going to put on my own bespoke website. None of this card junk. No way, man. I say that. Gateway actually uses a card website, which is perfectly fine for what they're doing. And probably way more economically friendly than actually hosting your own website. But
it's unfortunate that we live in a place where kids these days, they're going to Instagram for websites, checking the TikToks. Back in my day, we used to have, BBSs you go to talk to other people. You used to get on the IRC. What's this Discord crap?
By the way, you can join the Chronicle crew at the AwesomeCast Discord. Anyways. But yeah, that was the con. It was really, really fun. It was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. And they did recently mention that they had their attendance was 775 folks. Now, apparently they were really hoping for 2,000 people, and 775 is not 2,000. It's not even half that. And so it looks like what they're planned for 3.0 is a more downsized version of Gateway. And you can find these two different Google Docs that they've posted online, and we'll certainly link to them in the show notes. But I do think, and man, again, the staff for this convention are really good. They did not have to be this open and talk about what worked, what didn't work. Here's what we're planning for because of the changes. You don't see cons do that often. It really feels like they really took the whole inspiration of Yoshi P being very open and honest, and when he needs to talk about something, he just talks about something to heart, because they want to do a 3.0. They're really hoping to really blow it out with 2.0, and they're like, look, the costs, they did hurt, but we think we can do a downscale thing. They were really happy to see everyone who did come to 2.0. And a lot of people, myself included, were surprised that at the end of the day, it wasn't even 800 folks, as attendees. Like, it felt always so busy, always so crowded. We were all just, I guess, around each other so much. It felt like a bigger con than what it was.
For sure.
Yeah, I was surprised by how few attendees they were saying that were there, because it didn't feel crowded, but it didn't feel empty. So, because trust me, we've been to both.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's
true. The whole place is very comfortable. Like you said, it is disheartening to hear them to not meet their goals, because I certainly would want this to continue. You mentioned the staff being really great, and I think this is the same staff that does Anime St. Louis, a long-standing anime convention there. So they already knew what to expect. Hey, we're certainly veterans of event running. That's another big issue with upstart, conventions, is you get people that don't actually know how to run conventions. Their heart's there, but their skills aren't. And that's always a worry with these sort of beginning events. But that's not the case for Gateway Fate, run by Anime St. Louis. You would expect they would be doing this like every year for a decade now. And I honestly expect 3.0 to happen before they even announced it. So it is a little disheartening to hear they're having some issues getting that together. But their plan generally was that they were just going to cut out the upstairs, kind of condense everything down to the single floor, which I think is a very smart move on their part, a very smart use of their space, just a way to continue how smartly they were already using their space. So, man, I'm really going to look into 3.0 and really hoping this team can make it and continue to grow their event.
Yeah. I even saw like the lower level, like the layout they're planning on, and I think it looks really good. I also did not realize it, but it makes sense now that they said out loud, was the reason why they did all of that stuff on the lower level in the exhibit hall stage was to create the feeling that FanFest has, because FanFest is always one gigantic big room.
Yeah.
Where everyone's hanging out, doing stuff while there's stage events happening. Right. And they were trying that they wanted that feel for this convention too. And I went, oh, that makes a lot of sense now you say that out loud. I didn't even think about that, but they're right. That was really neat. And one of the things that was nice about it not being so super attended for me was that it felt very small, it felt very comfy, it felt very much more chillax, and it was a great way to hang out with people. And because it wasn't like overflowing with people like FanFest can be, having the event space at the lower level, I could hear it, but it wasn't like overwhelming. And it was kind of neat hearing people chit chat and talk while you're shopping or playing a game in the back. Like, it was everything happening all at once, as it were. It was good. It was really good. And I'm really excited to see how they make it work next year. Like, I've got high hopes for Gateway. I got high hopes.
Yeah, I think like my one complaint, and it's barely a complaint because I understand where it's coming from, is the schedule. Like, there were great events. We've talked about the great panels we went to, but there's also a lot of time, especially in the evening and especially on Sunday, where I felt like there wasn't a lot of event stuff happening. After we kind of broke for dinner on Friday, we did meander around a lot, but when we got back, we did kind of like wait for the drag show, because it felt like there was very little like event stuff that was happening. Sure, you had like the little rave they had in the one room. You had the art party that was drop in and drop out. But like, I guess personally, I really would have wanted more panel events type things happening in the evening. And again, I get it. I'm not trying to drag it, because I know that you have to have people submit those panels. You can't just, kind of conjure them out of the ether. And I get that there are reasons they would want to sort of include those during the day. But I'm hoping, and maybe because they're going to condense things down to one floor next year, I'm hoping that helps space the panels out a bit more, so I don't feel like I'm missing a lot of stuff in the space of my own panel and get to see them later. I don't know. Again, it's hard to feel like I'm complaining about it, because I get it and I get that they're limited. But that is the one thing I felt like I was missing a bit.
Yeah. I don't want to say that it was entirely anemic, but it could have been fuller.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been fuller. But I think also condensing down from technically having multiple rooms above and below
Right.
And just having, maybe less rooms will also let them fill out the rooms that they do have more so.
Exactly.
And so I think that would be very useful for them. And this also gives them now a point where if they can do this reliably, this would allow them to now actually grow if either A, if this is the size of the con, this is the size of the con, and they can keep running the size of the con and not destroy their budgets. Or if they grow, they can now grow, where they can now grow into having more rooms. And by having more people show up to have more rooms, then you can have more people submit things to fill up those rooms.
Exactly.
I think this idea they have for 3.0 is incredibly well thought out and seems very reasonable.
Yeah. And like you said, they didn't have to make this public. They could have just done this and announced it later, but they have a whole proposal drafted up and like in a Google Doc that anyone can look at. And it's like, man, you didn't have to be this transparent about it, but I'm glad you did. And that really makes me, believe in your mission, frankly.
Yeah. They didn't mention, that the guests that they have, everyone met their guarantees. So they know that they can invite guests and it's okay to invite guests and that people will get the signatures and pictures and things that the guests are charging for at the rates they're charging for, and they can meet their guarantees. So that way the convention knows they can invite the guests and not to worry to have those guarantees on the line. Like that's great for them because we all know, like three of us very much know that 14 fans like spending money on 14 things. We always have. It's always been a problem.
And as I type on my brand new Final Fantasy XIV keyboard that I've recently gained. We all spend money on things.
Hey, folks, Basil here. Butting into our own conversation. Because not only has Gateway at this point since recording, I can't wait to go, announced 3.0, we now know it's happening on October 17th and 18th, 2026. They're back at the St. Charles Convention Center. They've got the contract signed for the venue. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be amazing. And I can't wait to go and see everyone there. Okay, back to the show. I'm looking forward to hosting a few more panels next year and getting to go and hang out with our friends and have a good time. And also maybe actually play Mahjong, but for realsies with people and actual pieces and not just be a thing that I talk about. I should learn Mahjong one day, but actually do it. So I'm not going to turn around
you say this and now Adam's going to find you at MTAC and just make you sit down and play Mahjong with him the whole time.
Which is fine, which is good, frankly.
Maybe
you'll have
your Mahjong set from Jazz by then.
Maybe by then. Anna, what are you looking forward to for a potential Gateway 3.0?
I mean, I was just thinking, I enjoy having a con to look forward to in the fall because we don't go to AWA anymore, and it's not even in the fall anymore. But like, I miss, past Memorial Day, there was like no con to go to unless we happened to go to Otakon. So I really enjoyed, like, I like FanFest, and I like FanFest because, it's all the 14 people, like, but I really enjoyed Gateway because it was smaller and more well run than FanFest. But I felt like I could talk to people, like, I didn't get to talk to her much, but I got to talk to Rook for a little bit. I got to hang out with Denmo and Jazz, like, I got to, talk to, like, we met new people, we got to talk to Amanda and Jason for a while, just, it's FanFest, but smaller, and you get the interactions that you're wanting. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah. So now we got to figure out new panels.
You mentioned that, and I'm thinking the Friday night when we walk back in from dinner, and like Denmo and Fruity Snacks and everything, they're kind of hanging out, and Jason Charles Miller just there chatting with people, and like I'm like 5 feet away from the guy that sung this amazing music. We've met him before. You guys interviewed him. It's on the Awesome Cast feed. Go check that out. Very good episode from John and Basil. But it's like, so like he sort of knew you already. We're chatting up, hanging out. And at the corner of my eye, I see, a beautiful woman ordering a drink at the bar. And like, that kind of looks like, is it? And she turns around, Amanda Achen, and walks straight to Anna and starts chatting you up. And it's just like, how is this my life? How did this happen? They're not like, you usually guests have like handlers and they're zipping around a convention. But like these two musicians are just like casually hanging out. And like, they're like, okay, let's go do karaoke. Frosty's like, let's go do karaoke. Frosty, I think, was, 3 sheets to the wind himself at that point. But he's just like, trying to get these guys to like go sing karaoke. So like we meander over to the karaoke room as we're deciding what to do. And that's when we see, Javier and Louise just like belting out stuff. And it's like, oh my God, you wouldn't see this at a huge anime con with so many people. They're just in front of you and they're hanging out with their fans. It just felt so personal in a way that I don't think I've ever really experienced at any other anime con. And it was kind of magical just for that experience itself,
Yeah. Because, like we went to Otakon and being guest handlers, we were closer with Bethan and Colin and Ben. Like, we did get to meet them outside of, the autograph times, but we didn't get that interaction. Like that, because they had their handlers and they were always, going from point A to point B. It was such a strict schedule. They didn't have the downtime to hang out with everybody. So yeah, no, that was
the vibe I got from it really reminded me the most of the 2016 Fan Fest, the first Fan Fest Anna and I ever got to go to.
Where we got to walk up to Soken on the floor and talk to him?
Yeah. We
told him we were going to have his music in our wedding?
Yeah. We got to, that's how I actually first met Denmo, because we were both in line to go meet Yoshi P, because he was just sitting on the stage waiting to start the live letter. And so we all realized we could all go say hi. So we all us attendees, we just formed a natural line before the con organizers realized, oh no, what just happened? And Yoshi was like, no, we got time. Let's do this. Their line's already there. Or that time where that thing was that Friday night, we had planned a Leviathan meetup, and then suddenly became like the Primal meetup. And apparently, as we all decided in our group to leave, we found out an hour later, Foxclaw and Yoshi P just wandered in to this outdoor bar, and we just missed it. And we were all kicking ourselves until he was there on stage the next day.
Wow.
Like, things like that just were had there because it was smaller and there wasn't so many people, so you could pull off things like that. You can't do that at a fan fest now. Now it's last time it was a golden ticket that you might gotten with your badge. Maybe you'll get a chance for a picture or maybe an autograph.
Even then, that was random who it was.
Right.
Which there was no bad one, but
right. But the things that we got to do at Gateway, because it was much smaller, much more intimate, much more smaller scale, you just get to hang out with people. And we are not paying for any of this to say nice things about Gateway. Hell, we gave Gateway money because we bought an ad in their program guide. We paid them to promote us. But I'm going to say it, we are lucky. We've gotten to go to FanFest a few times. We're going to go to the next FanFest. That was all luck. I just happened to win the lottery, to be able to buy tickets. You don't got to win a lottery to go to Gateway Fate. And you should go to Gateway Fate. It is so fun. It is so well ran. My hat's off to all you folks. If you were listening to us talk about your convention, we loved your convention. You did a really good job. Y'all should go friggin' pop some wine and kick back and be like, hell yeah, we did a good con. You did. And if you're listening and you went to Gateway, you already know you had a good time. But if you think you can make it to St. Louis next year, you should. It's super fun. It's super well ran. I think it's the best way to hang out with fellow 14 fans. The best way IRL. No questions asked. If I had to choose right now, hold a machinist's gun to my head to flamethrower me, if I had to choose between Gateway and FanFest and I could only pick one, I would probably still pick Gateway.
It had the vibe of the 26, because we went to 2016 FanFest was our first one. It had that vibe. Like, we felt this way. Now, granted, that was also the one with the 8-hour merch line still didn't get through. It had its problems. But that was the one that was closest that we've been to that had that same vibe of we got to go meet all these 14 people. Like, we got to meet people we've talked to online. We got to meet, creators. And, it didn't feel overwhelming. Like, so, I think so. I think if I had the choice, I probably would pick Gateway. And mostly because it's also closer for us.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to FanFest this year. It was great when I went 2 years ago. It's going to be great next year. My wallet is less looking forward to FanFest.
Yeah.
Between the cost of the ticket going up $50 and trying to get to Anaheim, it's going to be a big trip for sure. So I am very grateful that a trip to St. Louis is a lot less expensive overall. And, if you do get to go to Gateway Fest, you get to go to St. Louis. There's a lot of stuff to do and look around there. So if you do schedule an extra day like I did, just to sort of look around the city and hang around, I got to eat some really great barbecue in Pappy's Smokehouse in St. Louis. I got to see the Arch, first time in that area at all. First time in Missouri, first time, within spitting distance of Illinois even. So, I got to do some real life sightseeing on top of video game stuff. That was very nice.
I got to get yelled at that I was a Cubs fan in St. Louis.
Authentic experience.
It's a good time. And also Gateway, they're only raising their price by $5. Not $50 at all. And that's just the economy, y'all.
Numbers don't lie.
All right. That's our talks about Gateway 2.0, Gateway Fate. Go to 3.0 when you have a chance to next year. Let's see this one grow and thrive. This has been the Carbuncle Chronicle, your podcast for everything awesome in Final Fantasy XIV. I'll be editing in this one. I'm Basil. Hi, how's it doing? How's it going? Our theme song was based off the AwesomeCast theme song that was done by DJ Nobito. You can find his stuff at djnobito.com, but arranged by Anna to give it a much more of a Final Fantasy feel to it. You can find our website at carbunclechronicle.com, which will lead you to the awesomecast.com because we are part of the AwesomeCast family of podcasts, where you can find all sorts of links to things like the AwesomeCast Patreon, where if you like what we do and you want to help support us, if you feel comfortable and able, please do so. We can also join our Discord, chat with us there. We also have YouTube channels for both the AwesomeCast and Carbuncle Chronicle. Again, go check out the music panel. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching Anna and Tobias talk about it there. And again, it's out of copyright jail, so you can actually watch it and not worry about it. We also have that TeePublic site where you can buy AwesomeCast and Carbuncle Chronicle themed shirts and things. Again, I really like my holiday themed stuff I did for that. Please leave us either Apple Podcast or Spotify reviews, or wherever you can review podcasts that you listen. Give us a good one. It's how people can find us. You can find our stuff online at either carbunclechronicle.com on Blue Sky or other places at CarbyCast. You can find me on Blue Sky at It's Basil Time. You can find Anna on Blue Sky at Angel Darkfire. The middle A is silent. And Tobias is there at rtobias.bluesky.com. I think that's all the things. But never, ever forget, you tank the Bone Dragon up north.
Good recording. Good stuff.
Yes.
Make sure Clyde is good.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. All right,
Craig.
Clyde.
That's what it is.
Craig. Oh my gosh. No, Clive's from Final Fantasy 16.
16.
This is Craig.
What if they gave Clive Craig?
You know.
What if it was
Ifrit. I'm Ifrit.
Yeah, Craig. Like
Craig.
Clive does have a little more gravitas to him as a name.